I open the service with a prayer, and I open with this prayer with what I know to be the most potent words I can speak. Thank you. Thank you for the stay spirit for yesterday and all of our tomorrows. Thank you for bringing us here each Sunday where we feel our oneness more personally. And thank you for the joy these relationships bring into our life. Continuing this prayer, I recognize that there is only one God, known by many names, but still only one. One Father, Mother, Parent, Creator of the one life. That life is perfect, complete, and divine, and it is my life now and the life of all people, animals, and nature. Everyone here, out there, everywhere, all coming together as one family. So from a place of joy, unspeakable joy, I declare our hearts and minds open as we show up here this morning to learn the spiritual principles that are the foundation of our faith and to trust what we know is truth of spirit within us today, tomorrow, and eternally. And so it is. Amen. Welcome. Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. I am Pat Ferguson, your spiritual director for 2022. And if you don't leave here happy today and filled with joy, I will be totally surprised, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, joy. And Reverend Patrick Soran from Lakewood, Colorado, will take you back to that place within you that has always been there, even when you thought it might have abandoned you. With so much going on these days and the virus still raising its persistent little head here and there, it's good to know that pandemic or not, inflation or not, recession or not, joy is our birthright and spirit remains unchanged in the face of all of that. We can deal with those things and choose fear or doubt or joy and courage. One of those choices will make our lives more livable, and I am pretty sure our guest speaker is going to give us some tips about that. I'll reintroduce you to Reverend Patrick right after special music. As is my custom, I open my morning prayers before service to welcome the day and the week ahead and light our God candle so that it will be shining warmly and brightly when you arrive. By now, you know to look for that first thing when you come into our Zoom room. And welcome you, we do, no matter what denomination you came from or were brought up in, or even if this is your first faith experience, all are welcome here. And the most important thing for you to remember is that you are welcome here. Join me in saying our mission and vision statement. Our mission statement is to teach personal transformation as a virtual community, living the principles of science of mind and celebrating all paths to God. In our vision statement, a world that honors and respects all people. And now, let's do our opening song and get this party started. Look for the Good by Jason Mraz.
Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. Look find it, find it, find it. Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. Everyone needs sunshine. Everyone needs rain. Everyone is carrying around some kind of pain. I see who you are. You're just like me. I see you're searching for a purpose, guided by a dream. I see who you are. I'm just like you. I get lost sometimes and I forget what I came here to do. I keep on trying, when it gets frightening. Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good. Look for the good. Look for the good in everyone. Everyone is nature. Everyone is God. Everyone is love and light and vibration. Look for the good. Look for the good. Everyone gets mad sometimes, and maybe they should. Look for the good. Look for the good. Yeah, look out for all the heroes in your neighborhood. Look for the good. Look for the good. Life sure would be sweeter if everybody would. Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. Look for the good in everything. Look for the good. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good. Look for the good. Look for the good in everyone.
Wonderful. Joy is my birthright. I give into the joy within. Help me welcome Practitioner of the Week, Vicki Jeter, for our spiritual reading and meditation.
Thank you so much, Pat. And thank you to Jason Mars. I find that I love that guy more every time we play that song. And I want to introduce you to our reading a little bit this morning, because this is a little departure from some of our normal kind of readings. And I love this because it's also a little departure from the heavy side of the idea that our theme for this month is work. As you may recall, when this year started, there was a whole month on play. And today we are being invited to remember that all of that mixes in together, and there's a balance between what we do for work and how we play, and that we can do a combination of both most of the time. And so the reading today, as I was thinking about, I know that the theme is bundle of joy, and remembering that we are a bundle of joy in God. We are God's joy, and God anticipates our living a life of joy. So I said to myself, where do I know of a reading that is about being a bundle of joy? And one of my very, very favorite characters came up, and her name is Anne of Green Gables. Some of you may know Anne of Green Gables, and so this reading comes from her life. And the interesting thing that I want to make you aware of as you take this in is that Anne came from very challenged beginnings. She was an orphan. And so when you think about finding your bundle of joy, it's not about being in denial of the challenges, but it's about recognizing that we can acknowledge the challenges, we can acknowledge grief, we can acknowledge whatever it is, the pain. We can do that and still choose to turn toward joy and allow the bundle of joy that we were gifted within to express along with everything we're dealing with. And this is going to be one of those times I'm going to go directly from the reading right into the meditation. So as we shift, just know to do what you do to relax yourself into a meditative state. And you can even begin that with the reading, because this is just a little story. It was broad daylight when Anne woke and sat up in bed, staring confusedly at the window through which a flood of cherry sunshine was pouring, and outside of which something white and feathery waved across glimpses of blue sky. For a moment, she could not remember where she was. First came a delightful thrill as something very pleasant, then a horrible remembrance. This was Green Gables, and they did not want her because she wasn't a boy. But it was morning, and yes, it was a cherry tree in full bloom outside of her window. With a bound, she was out of bed and across the floor. She pushed up the sash. It went up very stiffly and creakily, as it hadn't been opened for a long time. And this was indeed the case. And it stuck so tight that nothing need hold it up. Anne dropped to her knees and gazed out into the June morning, her eyes glistening in delight. Oh, wasn't it beautiful? Wasn't it a lovely place? Suppose she wasn't really going to stay here, maybe. She would imagine she was anyway. There was scope for imagination here. A huge cherry tree grew outside, so close that its boughs tapped against the house, and it was so thick set with blossoms that hardly a leaf was to be seen. On both sides of the house was a big orchard, one of apple trees, one of cherry trees, also showered over the blossoms, and their grass was all sprinkled with dandelions. In the garden below were lilac trees, purple with flowers, and their dizzily sweet fragrance drifted up to the window on the morning wind. Below the garden, a green field lush with clover sloped down to the hollow where the brook ran and where scores of white birches grew, upspringingly airily out of an undergrowth suggestive of delightful possibilities in ferns and mosses and woodsy things in general. Beyond it was a hill green with feathery and spruce and fir, and there was a gap in it where the gray gable end of the house she had seen from the other side of the lake of shining waters, was visible. Off to the left were the big barns, and beyond them, away down over the green, low sloping fields, was a sparkling blue glimpse of the sea. Anne's beauty-loving eyes lingered on it all, taking it all in greedily. She had looked upon so many unlovely places in her life before, but this was the most lovely place she had ever seen or ever dreamed of. Now I just invite you to allow Anne and her imagination and her bountiful childlikeness to find your inner child, your inner bundle of joy. And just imagine that you have the opportunity to show Anne your world. Imagine that Anne has been for a sleepover and you're coming up in a morning, just in the way that Anne woke up and greeted the day. You're coming up in a morning in your space with Anne and her imagination with you. And you pop up together and you say good morning and perhaps share a hug and imagine what sort of delights you'll find in the day. And Anne jumps out of bed and finds the nearest window, and you cannot resist jumping out of bed and following her. What do you see out your window? And what in what you see out your window in your life inspires your delight? Imagine that the world out your window is alive. I recall in the 100-Acre Wood, Pooh Bear had a name for every tree and every tree house, every piece of the garden. And he would say, "Hello, window. Hello, tree." And when he found his honey pot, he would say, "Good morning, honey." And so you and Anne, you've looked out the window into the day, but you know you have to get dressed and you have to take care of yourself. So imagine that your friend Anne and you are going through and preparing for your day. What will you imagine you could do? What would you like to show her that's in your world? She's never been here before. In her imagination, she could be anywhere, but she's never been in your world. So what might there be to imagine? And so the two of you get dressed for the day and you bound into the kitchen for breakfast. What will you have for breakfast? What would you invite a new friend to enjoy with you? What options would you give her? What would you offer that you might make? And not to worry whether it's particularly a breakfast item. It might be French toast with sprinkles of powdered sugar. Might be something else. Might be baked apples. Could be anything. So the two of you sit and have a lovely breakfast together, just bursting with wonder about what's to come. And soon you've taken care of breakfast, you've taken care of your body, and you're going to take care of the kitchen and get it all put away and cleaned up, good maintenance. And now you're free to go bounding out. Imagine taking Anne by the hand and bounding out your front door. What do you see in your world today through the eyes of your imagination that perhaps, like the window, haven't been opened in this way in a very long time? Using your imagination, what would you call the walk in front of your house? What would you call the flowers or the trees? What are their names? Take a moment to stand in the middle of your world outside your home with your friend Anne and take it all in and listen and see how your world speaks to you if every aspect of it is alive, like the lake of shining waters. I want to invite you to remember that you can return here at any time to this place within you. You can fire up your imagination. Your imagination can stay fired up with you throughout a day, like Jason dancing through, construction zones. Knowing that it's all spirit and all waiting to have a joyful life with you. So in your own time and in your own way. When you're ready, come on back.
Thank you, Vicki. Our special music today is one you might remember. It's a blast from the past. I Am Love by Kylie.
All good.
I am peace, I am joy, I am love. I am peace, I am joy, I am love. I am in harmony with everything, it's a part of me. I am peace, I am joy, I am love. You are peace, you are joy, you are love. You are peace, you are joy, you are love. You are in harmony with everything, God is all you see. You are peace, you are joy, you are love. We are peace, we are joy, we are love. We are peace, we are joy, we are love. We are in harmony with everything, God is all we see. We are peace, we are joy, we are love. We are peace, we are joy, we are love.
That was a wonderful thing to do again. Okay, if you were at church on July 25th last year, you may remember Reverend Rick introducing Reverend Patrick Soran. And if you do, that makes my job a little bit easier. Reverend Patrick Soran has been an ordained religious science minister for 6 years and has worked at 2 centers in Colorado, Denver and Colorado Springs. I think you're going to enjoy Reverend Patrick as he serves up new thought principles with dashes of humor and heartfelt oneness that create connections to spirit that are lighthearted and absolutely relatable. Welcome to LCSL, Reverend Patrick. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Well, I have a little something to tell you this morning. I want to tell you about something that Spirit, God, planted in us before we were even born. Right next to our heart, right here to the right of our heart, Spirit implanted within us before we were born a bundle of joy. There's a little heart-shaped bundle right here. It's wrapped in ribbons. There's a unicorn poking out. There's a little inner child, a little Anne of Green Gables, if you will, who's just so festive and happy and joyous right there next to our heart. Each of us has one. Each of us was implanted by Spirit, like Spirit gave it to us, like oneness and consciousness and love. Spirit gave us this little bundle of joy, effervescence and spontaneity and playfulness and silliness and gigglies. Do you ever get the gigglies? We have had this all of our lives since we were little babies. Do you remember being a little baby and how silly you were? Maybe you had little babies that were silly. Babies are just 100% bundles of joy. My neighbor across the street from us had a baby, Teddy, they named it, and Teddy sits on the grass in the summer with his hands out and his feet out and just waits for you to come up and play with him. He likes you to come up and just touch the inner side of his hands. A bundle of joy. Each of us has it there. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said, "I exude a spirit of joy from within." And our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, "The joyous spirit of life is active within me." That means it's in there. We've all felt it. We've all seen it. And we can open it up like a little Christmas gift or a birthday gift or a little something silly just to open it up. It's right there for us at the touch of our inner fingers. But sometimes we don't feel all that joyous, do we? Sometimes we have a bundle of joy on this side, but on the other side, we also recognize that there might be a cage of suffering, and that little bundle of joy, that little inner spirit that is so enlivened in joy, is caged in suffering. You know, there's a great American philosopher. Her name is Dolly Parton. And she said, "You can't have the rainbow without the rain." So one of the things I want this lesson to be about today is the idea that if we open up to our inner joy and celebrate it, that we might also open up to our inner sorrow, our inner struggles. One of the things I love about joy is that I just open-heartedly ride it. But when I feel suffering, some kind of sorrow, I work as fast as I can to shut that down. Being a religious scientist, I turn right away to prayer and affirmations. I had a bad feeling, I'm going to shut that down. Well, what if we didn't do that? What if we had a feeling of suffering or struggle and we just let ourselves be in it? What if we just let it flow through us for a day or a moment or sometimes a few days? Now, I'm not talking about if we're depressed, if we're clinically depressed and we should speak with someone and adjust our chemistry to adapt to that. I'm talking about the sorrow that we often have just as we go about our daily lives. I know for me that being in that sorrow has been part of my life all along. And that I've developed this kind of weird way of knowing when to release it. I just kind of pay attention to what's around me. And I notice that all around me is joy. There's joy, joyous living, vibrant humans, dogs, cats, other pets, vibrating with the joy of life. And sometimes when I'm sorrowful and I've had my day or day and a half of sorrow, I know when I'm ready to release that. When I was about 16, in that summer break between being a junior and being a senior, it was summer here in Denver and it was hot. And I hadn't done anything for 2 or 3 days, and I was feeling kind of blue. I recognized that I was just feeling blues. And I was laying in the bed in the middle of the afternoon. My brother had the TV on, and it was running a show called That Girl. Do you remember That Girl with Marlo Thomas? I'll sing the theme song for you. Diamonds, daisies, snowflakes, that girl. Chestnuts, rainbows, springtime, that girl. At that moment in my 17-year-old life, I knew that I wanted joy in my life. I wanted celebration in my life. And all of my life since then, I've been paying attention to the things that open me up and let that joyous juice flow out. That love, that abundance, that prosperity, that thought process. And I know now that I can make a choice to have joy in my life. Because, brother, if you are stuck in traffic, you are stuck in traffic. And you can decide when you're stuck if you're going to have a good day or a bad day. And if I choose to have a good day, even though I'm stuck in traffic, even though I'm at the longest line in the grocery store, even though I have to fly, I can make a decision to have a good day and have it not drag me down back into my cage of suffering. So I go back and forth between the two, consciously aware that life has suffering and that life is full of joy. And with our thoughts, we know as new thought thinkers that we get to guide ourselves, allow ourselves to be in the suffering if we choose, and allow ourselves to be in the joy, the celebration. That's what we do. If you went to a holy person and they could grant your deepest desire and create your ultimate joy of living, what would that look like? You go to the mountain, you walk up the mountain, and the guru is there, and you say, Guru, I want to be joyous. What would the guru be giving you that you don't already have? The guru has nothing to give you. We have everything we need right now within us to live the life we choose to live. The life of prosperity, of great relationships, of abundance, of health, of joy, of celebrations. And that's what God wants for us. Our desire to have things and to be in joy is God's intuition telling us it's okay to have that. It's also, if you're having a thought that I should have something, do something, or be something, that's a sign from God. It's already on its way. My job is just to open up and let it in. Let the joy in. Has the joy been trained out of us? You bet it has. Has it been educated out of us? You bet it has. Did it get beat out of us? I didn't get beat as a kid, but I sure got spanked. Was it abused out of us? Was it painfully taken from us? Each of us has moments where that inner child's joy, that Anne of Green Gables fantastic way of looking at the world, has been squashed and squashed and squashed. But as adults, it's our job, our choice to open up to that. And how do we do that? I have the secret to happiness to you, and I'm going to give it to you right now. Enjoy the simple things. The simple things that make a happy day. Most everything we do in life, we do to make ourselves feel a little better. Now, if I have a peanut butter sandwich and I have cherry jam and grape jam, I'm going to pick the cherry jam. If I have the TV on and there's an episode of CSI or an episode of Law and Order, I'm going to pick the episode of Law and Order. My point is that we do hundreds of things every day to make ourselves just feel a little better. We're all doing this. Each of us, everyone this morning, what toothpaste am I going to use? What shirt am I going to put on? How will I set up this camera? We're choosing things all the time. So why don't we simply enjoy the choices that we're making and live life into those and celebrate the decisions for happiness that we've already made. Anne of Green Gables is a great reading this morning because she was that girl had so much vivacity and she was a little troublemaker. And I'm just challenging each one of us here to go out and make some trouble. Anne was in trouble all the time, and it was always had a good ending. It always had a happy ending. Let's begin to make our choices so that we have our happy endings. The life we're living right now is the life that we've been creating for the last few weeks or days or months. And my challenge to us is just to open up and live it and accept that our thoughts became prayers, our prayers were answered by Spirit, and we are living the life that we created. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit, for putting me in this group of amazing people to give this lesson today. I'm so happy and honored to be speaking with you today. And I just want to reinforce that life is about the simple things. Our bundle of joy is about just being and letting it be okay. I want to introduce you today to a thing called the Positive Lexicography Project. It's a, excuse me, it was invented by psychologist Tim Lomas. Now, Tim has created a website where people people all contribute words. And there are different words all over the world for joyous little experiences that we have. Have you ever heard the word mbuki mvuki? Mbuki mvuki means to shed clothes and dance uninhibited. There's a word for that. That's what the word in Butu means. This guy has gathered these thoughts together. There's a word, mbuka mbutu, which means let's take our clothes off and dance. That's pretty joyous. There's another word, Norwegian, utapils. Utapils is Norwegian for a beer that is enjoyed outside on the first warm day of summer. That's something I can recognize. Just taking that first day in summer and enjoying it, recognizing it. Volta is a Greek word for a leisurely stroll. In Solarfri is Icelandic for sun holiday, when workers are granted unexpected time off to enjoy a particularly sunny day. Now, I don't know about you, but I know that it's been hot here in Colorado this summer. I don't know if it's been hot in Louisville, but I bet it has. I wonder if you'll take a day off in springtime on the first cool day to enjoy the cycle of the seasons, to spread joy with the leaves that come down in all their amazing colors, just to simply enjoy that. My favorite of these words is boketo, which is Japanese for gazing off into the distance. I'm great at that. You can see all these books behind me. I'm a reader. I've got a book open all the time. And you know what's the best thing about having a book? You can put it in your lap, and gaze off into the distance and lean back and take a nap. and just enjoy the bouquetto of the day. There's power in just letting the simple things grab hold of us if we let it. You know, when we're driving or cooking or gardening, the vegetables we're picking at the store, attending a service, being with the grandkids, each and every little moment of every day is in fact a celebration. And we are meant to be in joy. In the 12-step programs, they say, I pack all I can into the stream of life. I pack all that I can into the stream of life. Our days are numbered here, and I wish I knew what happened after, but in truth, nobody does. All I know is that I have today. How am I going to celebrate that? Raymond Blanc says, if anyone doesn't have 3 minutes in their life to make an omelet, then life is not worth living. I want to read a kind of a long Ernest Holmes quote. Ernest Holmes says, declare every day, no mistakes have been made. None are being made, and none can be made. Declare, there is one supreme intelligence which governs, guides, and guards. It tells me what to do, when to act, and how to act. And everything necessary to the full and complete expression of the most boundless experience of joy is mine now. Everything necessary to the full and complete expression of the most boundless experience of joy is mine now. I can learn to step into life. I can open up right where I am right now and start to celebrate the boundless experience of joy that God wants us to have. It wants us to be. It wants us to choose. Did you hear what the poodle said? The poodle said, my life is a mess. My owner is mean. My girlfriend is leaving me for a German shepherd, and I'm as nervous as a cat. And the collie says, well, why don't you go see a psychiatrist? And the poodle said, I can't. I'm not allowed on the couch. I have proof, absolute proof, that God means for us to be joyous and silly and silly and silly. I want you to look at your hands and look at these ridiculous fingers that God made for us. Every one of us has these little pinkies. And if you play the guitar or the piano, they really serve you well. But for the rest of us, pinky fingers aren't that useful. Maybe God gave them to us just to be silly. Have you tried, have you tried wiggling them? Okay, the next time you're stuck in line and you're feeling blue and you want something to do that'll make you feel better, wiggle your fingers. You have two at the end of your feet too. Wiggle your little toes, roll your toes right now. Pull those two fingers together and experience the sense of oneness that Spirit brings to us when we make a circle with our hands, with our arms. We are a circle of life. We're connected to ourselves and to each other. Now I'm going to ask you to do the silliest thing you've done all day. I'm going to ask you to take your little fingers and move them to the edge of the box so you can grab the little finger of the person next to you. Ha ha, everybody's wiggling their fingers. And if we hook our little fingers together, we are indeed a circle of spiritual oneness, of unity, of continual love and joy. Thank you. That joy was planted right here in our heart. God wrapped it in ribbons and put it within us to enjoy every day. Shall we have a prayer? Let's have a prayer. I'm going to start the prayer because we all know that spirit is one thing. We are all that one thing. We've all connected digitally, and we are here in a circle celebrating Whitney's conclusion of her master's degree. Well done. That is so wonderful and powerful that we are living in the spirit and doing and being and becoming all that we can do and be. There is one thing, that thing is God. And that thing has endowed us with prosperity, with health, with love, with joy, with accomplishment, with playfulness, with silliness, with giggles and gaggles. The spirit of love wiggles its way into every problem I have. Every sorrow I have is solved by spirit. The solution to every worry I wonder about is on its way to me right now. I am prospered by my thoughts as God's thoughts. God is doing its thinking through me. And what I'm thinking is what God is thinking. What I'm thinking about my heart and my joy and my life is what God is thinking about my heart and joy and life. And so I let that be love. I let that be interconnectedness. I open to the flow of the stream of life, and I pack the stream with all of the love and joy, activities if I wish, naps if I wish. Oh, I just feel so happy and joyous today that we are all together and held together by the love of the universe. How powerful this is, how wonderful it is. So with these thoughts in mind, we are holding the high watch for each other. We're holding the high watch for ourselves, our inner selves, our inner children, our inner adults, our inner parents. We're holding ourselves to the very highest ability to connect with spirit. And we release this prayer. We release the worry of connectedness. We release anything that isn't like God. And we just go about our Sunday. We just greet our Sunday morning, our Sunday afternoon with joy, with spirit, with life. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Spirit. Thank you so much. And we release it, we let it go. And to anchor it all together with our little fingers, we say, and so it is.
And so it is.
Woohoo!
Let us just take a breath and let Reverend Packett's fantastic message sink in. And we breathe once again together, and we expand now into prosperity time. What a wonderful atmosphere to come into prosperity time. Wherever your thoughts and minds are now, just know that it is a field that actually makes manifest everything that this message has brought to you, and that this time is intended to be a time of orchestration and great thanksgiving. So Louisville Center for Spiritual Living thanks you, each and every one, so much for your time, talents, and tithing treasures that you keep flowing to us, and we keep flowing right back to you. You know that in the chat, you will find all the basic ways that you can give to Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. And if you ever need any assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or to Pat or to Vernon or any one of our board members. We will be happy to help you. And now we have our September prosperity affirmation, which I just want to point out before we do it, that this was crafted by the Mystic Intern. The Mystic Intern also doubles as your spiritual director for 2022. Now, I'm going to say this, and if you'll say it with me, my prosperity is divinely supplied and generously shared. It works wonders in the world. Yes. My prosperity is divinely supplied and generously shared. It works wonders in the world. Yes. And I pass the basket to Pat for blessing.
Thank you, Vicki. One God, one life, one supply. Thank you for being the light from within that halos our time, talents, and treasures, and causes us to understand that the flow of all three from us is the same flow that circles back to us multiplied. We are grateful to be blessed in such ways, both as a center and individually. Blessing the gift and the giver, and our center that is the blessed receiver. With great gratitude, I lift these words of appreciation into the law that only says yes, and I release them there to be evident. And so it is.
And so
Thank you.
now we're shifting back to announcements for this week. And we begin with me looking in the mirror. I invite everyone to come for next week, the 25th. We are going to look at and embellish living your dreams. And I am so looking forward to it. And I am really excited about this. This here slide might take you a little bit to take in. It's a little bit different color than some of our slides. We are going to have our first movie night. That's one thing when we have put out, you know, like a poll to see what you all would like. That's one of the things that came up. So on the 5th of, oh, let's see, hold on. Let me make sure I get this right. So September the 30th is the actual night of the movie. That's going to be a Friday evening. And the reason why we have the other date on there is we know that trying to stay like over 2 hours, which the movie is, to have actual discussion, maybe some people aren't going to really want to do that. Because the movie will start at 7 o'clock Eastern time on this link, and we'll watch the movie together. And then, not to make it too long, the first Wednesday of October, for First Wednesday Spiritual Connection, we will be discussing the metaphysics in the movie, which is The Legend of Bagger Vance. Even if you've seen that movie before, I do hope that you will join us for the movie and join us for the discussion. And even if you don't come to the movie, you can still come for the discussion. So whatever works for you, it's a combination of the two. And put it on your calendars. That's the 2 dates, September the 30th at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and then also 7 o'clock on October the 5th for the discussion. And we know that there are some people that haven't been with us for a while today. We are so, so, so happy to see you. And we just want you to remember, hang in there after the closing song, because we do sharing time. And of course, you are magnificent.
Yes, indeed, you are magnificent. Here's our closing song, Think It, Dream It, Believe It, and Do It by Karen Drucker.
Dream it, believe it, do believe it. I can do it. Think it and dream it, believe it. I can do it. Think it and dream it, believe it. I can do it. I can do it. Think it and dream it, believe it. I can do it. Think it and dream it, believe it. I can do it. Think it and dream it, believe it. I can do it. I can do it. Think it, dream it, believe it. Do it. Think it, just dream it, believe it. I'm gonna do it. Think it, just dream it, believe it. Watch me do it. Think it, just dream it, believe it. Do it. Think it, I can do it. Dream it, I can believe it. I can do it. Do it. Think it, I can do it. Dream it, I can believe it. I can do it. Do it. Do it. Think it, I can do it. Dream it, I can believe it. I can watch me. I can do it. Think it, dream it, believe it. Do it.
A bird doesn't sing because it has an answer. It sings because it has a song. Ending this service as we began, for the collective, I say thank you. Thank you, Spirit, for being the joy within us. Thank you for presenting us so many things, from the simple to the sublime, to be joyful about. Thank you for the reminders that we can create joy from thin air just because that is what you meant life to be. In so many ways, we are so blessed, and we know it, and we appreciate all that we have and all that we can be when we not only accept who we are, but whose we are. As always, we're especially thankful for this philosophy that has taught us that God is within us and we are never separated, not now, not ever. And on these and multiple other gratitudes from a place where joy, joy, joy lives down in our hearts, I lift these words into a law that always says yes, automatically and impartially, and there I release them. And so it is.